Apply Digital, other than being one of our amazing platinum sponsors for this hackathon, combines data with human insight to make and market smart digital products. So just as a reminder to all the hackers watching our stream, if there's a question you would like to ask one of our lovely guests here, please send it in the Q&A channel on Discord, and that will be under the sponsors category in the server, and it will be asked. So today we are joined by Webhoff and Colleen, who is the head of HR operations at the company. And Colleen was speaking to me before this, and she's actually been with the company pretty much since founding, so she definitely knows a lot. So would you guys like to introduce yourselves a bit before we start with the questions?
Yeah, for sure. Colleen, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Colleen. I'm the head of people operations for Apply Digital. Like I said, Jill said, I've been there for 5 years. So from the very beginning, I started actually when I was coming off having my youngest child. And so I started part-time. And then as the company became a startup and then a bigger and bigger and bigger, I worked all my way up to being full-time. I've been in my profession for probably more than 15 years now.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Vaibhav. I am the director of marketing at Apply Digital. I've been at Apply for about 2 years now, and Colleen was the one that hired me. I was in the US and I had never been to Vancouver, and Colleen and Apply took a gamble, and here I am. I have a background in advertising and marketing, and that's what I love doing. I'm looking forward to your questions.
For sure. Okay, and just to start things off, I think something that all of our hackers are looking to know is what kind of opportunities or student opportunities there are at the company, and maybe talk a little bit about what they would be expecting and what kind of projects they would be working on.
Yeah, we've right from the beginning of the company, one of our longest standing employees started as an MBA student, and he's now one of our senior product managers. So we've definitely had quite a number of people that have come in as co-op students and done very well and stayed with us long term. So that's something that we've invested in as a company from the beginning and will always do. So right now we do have already filled some summer student positions, but we're always open to co-ops in internships too, like paid internships. We always like both of those things. We always have a co-op student in our strategy department doing research. We usually quite often have an intern or a co-op with our UX group. And on occasion have had one in our software engineering group as well. And definitely product management and project management as well. So really quite a number of the disciplines have had co-ops or interns, and we try and do it on a regular basis.
How often are you hiring these interns, and can you give an estimate of how many you take at a time?
I think we probably have 3 or 4 at a time. Sometimes we've had more, and we typically try to do it every quarter. So we would have like every semester we would be taking in co-ops. We try to rotate schools and we have an office in Toronto, so we also do co-ops in Toronto as well. So, we might have UBC or we might do SFU, and then we might do Waterloo or something in Toronto, and just kind of rotate around a little bit. So we're not just pulling from one school, and sometimes we'll post in both schools, but sometimes we rotate it around too.
For sure. Yeah. And could you go into maybe a bit more detail about what the recruitment process is like?
We try to do pretty similar to what our regular recruitment process is. They're normally meeting with someone who is a subject matter expert in the area to just determine skill level. And then we're a very values, culture-driven organization. So there's typically meeting with a couple of people that you would be working with, like more collaboratively on a team, to sort of see if there's good energy with the team. And it's usually cross-discipline or multidisciplinary for that interview. So we might have 1 to 2 interviews for co-ops, often back to back, one being more focused on what are the skills specifically for this position, and then one more just related to the chemistry with the team and the collaborative aspects of things with people. Yeah,
just to touch on that kind of collaborative aspect a bit more, how often do different teams get the chance to collaborate, and how often do within a team like a communication happen?
Yeah, it's daily. It's a daily thing. We have multidisciplinary teams working on projects, so it's in quite a lot of ways like a hackathon, right? Where you have UX, design, software engineers, project managers, product managers. You're building a product together, a digital product together. It's a team effort. It's collaborative. 100% collaborative, right? You have to go and do your individual deliverables, but you can't do it in a vacuum. It's one whole that you're working towards, and there's like we have very frequent touch points like stand-ups and things like that. Lots of communication for the team. We use Slack a lot for communication as well, so we use a lot of technology for frequent communication.
Mhm. Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about what other technologies you use?
Well, we're pretty Slack driven as a company. I think once you've gone to that kind of instant communication that you can, like you don't love emails just feel very slow all of a sudden. We use Discord for some fun stuff around the office actually. So like it was interesting. I already had a Discord account, so I think we use so many. We use so many different tools like Miro, and like we use brainstorming things where you collaborate together. We use all kinds of things. Like I think all the software we use is collaborative, right? It all has a collaborative aspect, and we use lots of different things because we make apps and things like that. We love using them, right?
Yeah.
As a company.
What are some of the fun things that you had the opportunity to use, like to carry out with Discord and stuff like that?
We were mostly just using it during after COVID hit. We're trying all kinds of ways to keep, because we're a really connected team and we're really like talking to each other, and people were getting Zoom fatigue. It's a real thing, the Zoom fatigue, and so we were trying all kinds of different ways for people to connect, and Discord was interesting because it was just a little bit different than doing another Zoom meeting, right? And you could pop in and out, which is a little bit more like replicates being like in a coffee, like, around the coffee machine or some of those kinds of things, right?
I think, Colleen, the team members were also using Discord for Among Us when they were playing Among
Yes.
Us. So we have Among Us groups both in Toronto and Vancouver, and I think Discord is their go-to place.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Very
Just use-
popular.
yeah,
Very
Very
popular.
popular.
yeah, definitely the best platform to host Among Us games on. And just to kind of speak to that, can you speak a little bit more about the culture at the company?
Yeah, I think the culture is something that's really come from our, CEO and some of the founding people. Like, and we did our values very early on as an organization, and we really try to live those values. So we have smart, humble, active, positive, excellent is our values, and what it's really centered around is this idea that we really truly believe that a diverse group of perspectives lead to better solutions, and we're in the business of solving problems. So it's this idea that you need to have collaboration, you need to have different perspectives to get to that best solution. And so it's a very team-based company. It's not a company that is looking for people to be individual heroes. We really like working together on problems. We look for kindness. We would like people who have empathy and kindness and treat each other well and nicely and are positive and really care about the quality of their work.
And one thing, if I can add to that, would be we're a learning-focused organization. And
Yes.
yeah, and when I joined, I was so surprised to hear that the company has a certain amount of money that's set aside, as well as time from senior folks for me to grow and learn. So I get mentorship, I can take workshops, I can take classes, and that is a very important part of our culture, is to keep on learning and keep on growing. Colleen, do you want to share anything else on that?
Yeah, I think it goes beyond just training and development and prioritizing that, but it also is this focus that thinking that the organization always has something to learn, and that everyone in the organization has something to learn always. So it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing something, you have something to learn. Like I learn every day from my team, right? And there's that mentality, I guess, that everyone needs to be open for learning, and the organization should be changing. It should not be staying static. It should be asking questions of itself to be always better.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Hearing how collaborative the environment is. I can definitely imagine people always seeking each other for help and things like that. Can you tell me a bit more about kind of more granular side of things, what an intern would expect in a typical day at the company? So what kind of tasks he or she will be undertaking?
Yeah, so really, because we have such a wide range of positions that we hire in interns or co-ops with, there's a really wide range of things that people can be doing. If they're with the strategy team, they're working with senior strategy people, helping them with research for new clients. Like usually when we're going into either pitching a new client or working with a new client, understanding and doing research about that industry. If they are working with a project management team, they're actually really trying to learn the craft of project management and trying it out with like smaller projects, and also working quite a bit with the PMO in supporting the project management team with some of the things that they do. In UX, a lot of the focus is with interns has been on UX research, so helping support. So it's often paired with always paired with a more senior person in that field, and then working directly with them, usually on client projects. So actually getting to do the work. It's not like a just sit and watch kind of situation. It's very they
Mhm.
definitely get in there and get to experience it,
Yeah, for
and do a
sure.
lot of that stuff.
So how cross-disciplinary are the roles within the company? And by that, I mean, if you're, say, a software engineer intern, are there any project-related elements that you get to work on in your work, or is it purely just, coding?
Um, I think everyone, because it's collaborative, you always
Mhm.
have like ideas, great ideas come from everywhere, right? So if you're a software engineer and you have a great design thought, that there's opportunity for that. But I think, and certainly within our kind of we have like a sister company that does startup um, incubation and work. There's
Mhm.
more hybrid roles within that group. Just by nature of working with startups, you have to wear lots of hats and people do lots of different things. But I think within applied digital, usually the intern experience is very focused around a very particular craft area because there's a lot to learn even just within that craft. But by the nature of working with the multidisciplinary team, you'd be exposed to more things as well.
For sure. Yeah. And how would you define success at the company, both for, a full-time employee as well as an intern?
I think, because we're learning focused, I think when I look at what if people have been successful in the company, I think some of the most fulfilling things for me is seeing how much people have
Mhm.
grown. Right. I mean, we promote a lot from within because we're growing really fast, and so we're always looking first to like who's going to take that role from within. And there's been people, like I said, who have started as co-ops, and they're running their own accounts, and they're really like leading,
Mhm.
starting to get into leadership, and that's even just within 5 years, right? So of us being in business, right? So
Yeah.
there's some pretty tremendous growth of individuals, and then as a company, obviously we want to see that we're living up to the values because the values are pretty core to us. So
Mhm.
we like our clients to say that we're living up to our values. We like our employees to say that we're living up to our values,
Mhm.
and we want to be growing as a company too, like and getting better and improving. So.
Yeah. What are some of the most exciting milestones that you've seen in your time at the company? Because I know you've
Oh
it's so
goodness. I mean, we not too long ago we broke 100 employees, and when
Um,
you
that's
start with a
crazy.
company that's just you and a handful of other people to break 100 employees, and more than like when we opened Toronto, when we
Mhm.
opened a second office because we started in Vancouver, so opening a new office was amazing, and then having that office now be the same size as our Vancouver, our original office, like
Mhm.
seeing that growth. I think every year I just look at the numbers of people that we hired and I look at who we hired and how much I care about them. And that's like a super, like, it always kind of blows my mind a little bit. Like, I can't believe, we found this person this year, and like, look at what it's done for the organization and things. So there's been some really amazing milestones, but I think the first day of learning we did was like a big one. That was amazing. And we've done that ever since. The first hackathon that we did internally, we do hackathons for good. And then we do philanthropic work based on it. We pick our philanthropic project for the year based on the hackathon. And the first time that very first hackathon that we did, where we got to call up the not-for-profit and tell them we were going to be helping them that next year, was that was like one of the moments I'll always remember, for sure.
Sure, that sounds super exciting.
We also just turned 5 on March 1st. So for me, that was a big milestone. I've been here 2 years, but just seeing people that have been here since the beginning, and it's like they're seeing fruits of their labor come to fruition every day, and it's real. So that was very amazing to see, and everybody is on the same page about it.
I think, one of best parts of working at like a smaller scale company is to see those big milestones and see how far you've come. And I've seen that with my past experience as well. So definitely. So maybe this question, but Pav can answer. So why did you choose to join the company, and what made you think?
So, I chose to join the company because I saw that this would be a place where I would get opportunity to grow, and I would have a voice, and that's very important, right? Like, I would be working with people that know a lot more than me, so I would learn from them every day. But they would never tell me to not contribute, to never share an idea, because every idea is valuable, and that was very amazing for me. So it gave me a platform. I started as a business analyst, and within a short period of time, I got a chance to really define what I wanted to do within the company. And as the idiom goes, take the bull by the horn, and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to get into marketing, and through the support of the great people around me, I could define that role. So I think it was the fact that we were doing great work, the fact that I would get a chance to grow, and the fact that I felt my voice could be heard. Those were 3 big things that I felt. Plus the diversity. I was in the US, where it's hard for people such as myself to get work permits and visas. Not a Canadian or an American citizen. And Apply helped me with my visa process and helped me with my PR process. And we have people from 20, 30 countries within the company. And, you have people from all walks of life. So that diversity is so enriching.
For sure. So just to touch a bit more on that diversity aspect, we are a hackathon that greatly promotes diversity. So what is your process for making sure that there is diversity and diverse perspectives within your company?
Yeah, so we actually are like a lot of companies, I think, asking ourselves hard questions. I think everybody needs to, and if you want to be a learning organization, you have to keep asking yourself really questions. And don't think like, oh, well, we're done now, we're diverse. Like it's like a never-ending process. So one of the things we're doing this year, we've done things over all of the years, but one of the things we're focused on this year is we have a diversity and inclusion consultant that we're going to be working with. We have set up a diversity and inclusion advisory committee made up of a very diverse group of employees who advise the company on matters related to diversity and inclusion. We're going to be doing some training this year, which I think is really important on diversity and inclusion. But one of the things we do too is we've always been involved with Canada Learning Code. So we've been involved with them for a long time, Women Learning Code and Girls Learning Code. And we've been adding some involvement with, we've tried to have at least 2 diversity organizations that we get involved with every year, which also helps with making sure we're also bringing in diverse talent. And so we've developed a partnership with CEE, which is in Ontario, and we have our first intern from them starting next week. And it's a diversity-based organization in Ontario, helping people from diverse backgrounds get into technology. So.
Yeah. That's amazing. What do you typically look for in an intern? So both in terms of the resume and also in terms of culture fit.
Yeah, I think it's a lot with co-ops and interns. You learn quickly, right? So it's
Mhm.
not so much about the base of what you have. It's a lot more about that willingness and desire to learn, the feeling that people could pick up things quickly and want to learn, like that learning attitude or that growth kind of mindset. Um, and just a lot about the passion, like passion for what we do, right? Like we really do love the craft of what we do. Like Web of loves marketing. I love HR.
Yeah.
And everybody's like that in our companies. We love that, like that passion, right? If you really have a desire to do something and you also have that quick learning like mindset, you can grow so fast, right? If you have those couple of things. So it's more around how you think and the way that you're going to take to things versus having checking a ton of boxes, right? That's not what it's about,
Mhm.
I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I can add something to Colleen, like at Apply, we give people the independence to go after something that they want, and if they can give us, if they can present a strong argument, then they would have all the support in the world, right? If you want to pursue an idea, if you want to pursue a technology, if you want to pursue something uh, that you're passionate about, you would have all the backing of everybody within the team to go and do it. So that is something that's really important for us as people that want to go and do things and um, can really think big sometimes. So just want
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I think it's very important and for a company to support career development. So that's definitely good to hear. So how is kind of performance evaluated at the company then? Do you do check-ins or is there,
Yeah. So, the research is actually really interesting on performance reviews in that they don't actually help improve people's performance. And we're a very data-based organization. We like to base everything on data. And so I practice sort of more data-based HR. So one of the things we've done from the beginning is we do regular one-on-ones with everyone is assigned a person who's senior to them in their craft who does regular one-on-ones so that there's an informal feeling where people don't have there's a relationship developed, and that's where feedback flow can really happen. Often there's this feeling that there's so much resting on these conversations that it actually triggers fight or flight in people, and they can't accept feedback in that way, and also really hard to give feedback. And for us, it's a real two-way feedback because it's actually how we get a lot of feedback into the organization about what we need to change and how we need to grow as an organization as well from the people in their one-on-ones. So it's very frequent one-on-ones with their mentor. People should always know how they're doing and getting regular feedback, but also have the opportunity to be giving feedback as well, and getting coaching and mentorship and that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely sounds like a very collaborative environment. Was there anything that surprised you about the company when you joined? And maybe Webhub again can
Yes,
answer this
I think that's
question.
probably a web of
Yeah.
question.
Let's see. I was surprised by how the fact that I wanted to spend time with these folks even after 5 p.m. Right? Like we would just hang around at work, and it's a typical tech office. We have couches, and we have board games and a Switch, and people wanted like I wanted to hang out with people, and that was really surprising because over time, some of my colleagues have become friends. I can count on them to give me support. If I'm sick, I'm pretty sure there are at least two people that will bring me soup. So that's the kind of relationships that I've built over time, and that was surprising. And the other thing that was surprising was access. I can go up to my CEO and have a conversation with him and nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to tell me, why did you jump a level or anything like that. We allow anybody and everybody to talk to everybody. So you have access to share your ideas. So that was very unique, because companies are often, very protective, or don't go to the CEO, or don't do this, don't do that. At Apply, you can talk to anybody and people would lend you their ear. And so those are two things that really surprised me.
Mm-hmm. So you'd say like decisions definitely aren't made in a very hierarchical way?
Yes and no. So for example, if a decision has to be made around, hey, what should a new, for example, what should a new office space look like? We would solicit feedback and inputs from the whole team, and we would ask everybody's point of view. But and then using that, the decision might be made at the top level, but it's not that the voices of everybody else is not heard. Everybody would have a chance to contribute. Maybe Colleen can also give some insights into decision making.
I think, one of the things that's best about Gotham, our CEO, is that whenever he has to make a big decision, he asks people, right? Like he never does it just without, he'll have like a few key conversations. He'll ask some people that are anyone who's going to be affected or have material thoughts. And that's not just management folks or leadership folks. It's anyone that he, and he talks to a few different levels and a few different people just to get a sampling of different thoughts. And I think that's something I've learned from as a leader. Like that's a really great approach, I think. I try to emulate it when I can. And I think when you have someone at the top of an organization who does that, it really sets the tone for a lot of the rest of the folks. Like, hey, this is a good way to do things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we've heard a lot about the kind of very, very positive sides of working at the company. Could you speak to any challenges that you encountered while in your position?
Sure. I think probably the biggest thing is that we have grown so fast, like so fast over 5 years from, a few people to we're getting close to, I think, 150. Like I think we'll hit 150 in no time. And then we've doubled in size, like quite a number of years. That is really challenging to grow that fast, to try and keep it's very challenging for my job to try and keep the culture, like that core thing that makes us who we are. And you have to keep changing. You have to constantly keep reimagining, like, how do I do this now at this next level? It has stretched me in every possible way. And I will be very open with the fact that I have failed sometimes. And I've had to go, okay, no, that didn't work. I'm going to try something else, right? Like anybody else have an idea of how to get this done now that we're bigger, right? So I think that's definitely been challenging, but also kind of fulfilling, and also a little bit of permission to fail a little bit, try again, as you're growing, because any big growing company, you're going to need to try a few different things, right?
Yeah, and with that in mind, where do you kind of see your company headed, since it's in such like this giant growth phase right now?
Yes, well, I think we're expanding into the United States, and probably eventually we'll expand into Europe. So it's just continuing to grow from here. It's not going to stop growing, and it'll probably be a pretty steady rate of growth for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I think we are coming up very short on time. So just to kind of end off on a really positive note, can each of you give a quick anecdote of your best moment or favorite moment at the company?
Ooh, I can go first. I love to cook, and so we decided to do a curry potluck at work, and everybody bought in curries from their homeland or whatever they grew up eating, and we had 16 or 17 different types of curries, and people just bonded over food. That was such an amazing moment for me. We had people bringing curries from Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, and it was just happiness over food. So that was a standout moment for me at work.
For sure. Yeah, the smell of must have stayed in the office for quite a while after that.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
I think
Colleen?
I'll always remember the first hire I made for my own team. I was a team of one for like 3 years until we got big enough. And I think when I hired Evie, who was the first person to join my team, she's still with us and is amazing. When she said yes, she wanted to join, and I was a team of 2 and not just 1. That was like, I will always think of that as one of the sort of the highlights.
Sure. We are hitting 1:30 now, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you both so much for taking the time out of your day to kind of join us for our first Q&A. And, you know, hackers, I hope that you took away something from this session as well.
Thank you.